Welcome to the Reconnection Club podcast, the show that helps parents heal troubled relationships with their adult sons and daughters. I'm your host, psychotherapist Tina Gilbertson. Each week I'll offer you compassion, clarity, and personal development tips designed to help you reconnect not only with your child, but with yourself. Now let's get started. It's hard to be happy when one of the most important relationships in your life isn't working. It feels like there's a hole in the middle of everything. You can try to step around it and go about your day, but it never completely goes away. Sometimes you can forget about it for a little while. Other times, it weighs on you relentlessly, and you feel buried by sadness, despair, or even anger at your child. The fact is, you're living with what's called an ambiguous loss. Go back and listen to episode number 2 to find out the implications of that. In short, you're in a kind of limbo, and that is a difficult place to be. Still, you have just this one life, and although your goal isn't necessarily to get used to your child's absence, I hope your goal is to suffer as little as humanly possible, given the reality of what you're dealing with. Life continues every day, whether we want it to or not. Each morning the sun comes up and we have to decide what to do with ourselves during all those hours before it's time to go to bed again. Keeping a positive attitude while you're estranged from your child can be as much of a gift as it is a challenge. A positive attitude makes life more manageable no matter what's going on. Being more positive is good not only for your mental health, but for your physical health as well. Numerous studies have demonstrated that people with more optimism, hope, and the belief in their own ability to affect the quality of their lives have better physical outcomes than those with pessimistic or fatalistic attitudes. Positive people even recover faster from surgery and serious illness. Now, I could tell you that you need to develop optimism and hope because they're important elements of a positive attitude, and if you can do that, that's great. But you can't necessarily feel optimistic or hopeful just by wanting to. However, what you can do is to adopt behaviors that lead directly to positive feelings. That's a lot easier to do than choosing your mood. Here are a couple of things to put into practice today in the interest of staying positive while you're estranged. Number 1, actively manage your time. It behooves you to practice time management even if you're retired or don't need to do anything particular on any given day. Managing your time is equivalent to taking charge of your life, and taking charge of your life feels amazing. As anyone who's a productivity nerd like me can tell you, time management is really self-management. If you're spending hours on social media or watching television, that's a choice you might not even be aware that you're making. If you're not planning the next day's activities before you go to bed, you're more like a passenger than a driver in your own life. One of the key components to a positive attitude is your belief in your ability to affect the quality of your own life. Think of this as being able to sit in the driver's seat. It means that you're in control of much of your own life, as opposed to passively taking whatever comes or following momentary moods. Being passive in how you spend your time, kind of like a passenger instead of a driver, is a recipe for low energy, low achievement, and low satisfaction with life. Manage your time by planning your days in advance and following your own schedule. This is a simple way to feel like you're in control of what's within your control. Obviously, there are times when you have to follow the schedule that's set by circumstance. But most of us have some period of time during the day that we manage. And it's important to manage that time when you're involuntarily separated from someone you love. Take control over what you can control, and you will feel more positive, not to mention a lot more powerful than you felt before. Another thing you can do to cultivate a positive attitude is to set goals that are something of a stretch for you. When you don't ask anything of yourself from week to week, or when you set yourself tasks that are boring or too easy for you, life is not as fulfilling as it could be. By setting yourself some challenging but not impossible goals, you'll derive maximum benefit from your own efforts. Not only will you get things done that you wanted to get done, but you'll enjoy the process and again, feel more like a driver than a passenger in your own life. Let's look at an example of setting a stretch goal, something that's not too easy but not impossible. Maybe you've been thinking about decluttering your home for years, but you haven't managed to make much of a dent in it, possibly because of a lack of intention around time management. You might set yourself a challenging goal of decluttering one entire room of your house this weekend. So you put your project on your calendar, you make sure to have enough boxes and bags to get rid of things you no longer want or need, and you make it happen. Decluttering a room or a part of your home can be a big chore, especially if it hasn't been done for years and years. By taking the responsibility of scheduling and completing this task, you experience yourself as an agent of change, no longer just a passive observer of clutter in your home. Try managing your time and setting yourself some stretch goals. If you set a goal that's so daunting that you're making no progress, scale it back until it's something you can accomplish. Instead of decluttering an entire room, for instance, you might be able to set a timer for 15 minutes and dedicate yourself to decluttering during that time. If you declutter for 15 minutes, you reached your goal. But no matter how much your time management, productivity, and positivity may improve, don't expect yourself to be up all the time. You're going to have your moments when you feel blue. Maybe it's driving past your child's elementary school or finding something in the attic that reminds you of him. Let yourself feel whatever you feel when those things happen. Make sure there's room for sadness in your life. Once you've had your sad feelings and allowed them to move through you, then you can return to focusing intentionally on the behaviors that make you feel more positive. Anything you do to take charge of your time and your daily habits will improve your quality of life in a very short time. Until next time, remember that you are a loving, lovable, and still growing human being. So please take good care of yourself. Bye for now. If you've enjoyed this episode of the Reconnection Club podcast, I invite you to check out ReconnectionClub.com. The Reconnection Club is for parents at any stage of estrangement from their adult, child, or children. So whether you've just realized there's trouble between you, you've been living with estrangement for years, or you're newly reconciled but still walking on eggshells, the Reconnection Club is your essential resource for information, support, and continued personal growth. With our courses and workshops, expert interviews, monthly Q&A calls, and a friendly, active community, the Reconnection Club is a wonderful place to be for anyone suffering the pain of estrangement from an adult, child, or children. So check it out at ReconnectionClub.com.